Hello, ladies, beautiful ladies. Welcome to this bonus on sales. Sales conversations. I love sales conversations. Some call them sales consults. I prefer to call them consultations, or conversations rather, but it's really just nomenclature. It is an opportunity to serve, right? Remember what we talked about last week in ethical selling. There is an element of servant leadership there that has to happen for higher converting sales conversations. And I want to make sure I'm recording. Okay, good. And there's that element of buyer psychology, which really goes back to how well do I know my best client? Because your best client is who you're always talking to, whether on sales calls, in marketing, in your sales posts, right? Wherever you show up for them. All right, before we dive into the meat of what we're doing, I want to say congrats to our latest Joyful Six Figures Accelerator clients. Brava to Stephanie and Yolanda, who jumped in yesterday. Congrats for taking a leap of faith and demonstrating your commitment to growing your business God's way by jumping into the Joyful Six Figures Accelerator, where you are very well supported. And there are a couple of accelerator clients on right now, and we just got off of our weekly call. So could you just pop in the chat, like, what was that experience like for you? Especially the newbies. I'm going to call, I affectionately call you my newbies, right? My newest beautiful ladies inside the accelerator. Okay. What was that like? It's kind of like this on steroids, right? I hope so. That's my intent. Let's see. Something popped into the chat. Let me just see what's going on here. Oh, so juicy. Yeah, I like it. All right. Now, as you know, oh, Melissa says great feedback from Judy and the other ladies. So much love. Yes, Christ is at the center. Hallelujah. Now, as you know, lifetime access is no longer available, but you can jump into that accelerator at any time as enrollment is always open. Now, going forward, the accelerator program is a 9-month program. And at the end of those 9 months, you get to decide. Ah, don't we love decisions? We get to decide as the CEO whether at the end of that 9 months you want to renew for another 9 months, or perhaps by that time you're going to meet the requirements for my Joyful Scaling Mastermind, that next level container for service-based business owners who've already reached six figures. That could be you, sister, in 9 months. Okay, isn't that exciting? Okay, now, if you have not applied for my no pitch, no pressure clarity call, last call for that. And can I say call just one more time? No, like, what are you waiting for? During these 30 minutes together, I'm going to review the information that you provided in your application. I'm going to diagnose the gaps in your business so that you walk away with clarity, right? Clarity for your next best steps to grow your business and reach your first 100K. And so Rebecca, thank you, has popped in that link. It's really right at the top of your workshop dashboard. It's a big button that says apply, big red button. And look, you're here, and that means you're committed to where the Lord has called you, and you're serious about building a faith-fueled and profitable business with Christ at the center. Okay, so you're not a hobbyist. If you're a hobbyist, that call's not for you. If you're not sure really what you're doing, or if you're even an expert, that's not for you. But if you are serious and committed to really serving others with your God-given talents in your business, take advantage of the opportunity. Hit that red apply button, complete the questionnaire. Then my team's going to be sending out for you a link. Then you can choose a convenient day and time for us to meet. If you have any questions about scheduling that call, pop it in the chat right now, or of course, go into the Facebook group. So I do hope to see you on my calendar. All right, I'm realizing I've got to plug my computer in because I don't want us to go kerfluky here. That seems to be my word of the week. I don't know why. So thank you for your grace as I plug in so that I don't lose you. Okay, tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern, who's coming? Our final live together. All right, come on. I need you to be, yes, Amber says me. Okay, and Ashley, yes, and I can't see so many of you, but I hope you're coming. It's our final live together. It's a Q&A session with laser coaching. Come experience business coaching that's unapologetically built on biblical principles, right? That's business at its best. Business done God's way. So it's going to be the same Zoom link as you have right here, but it's happening tonight at 7 Eastern. And I have a big announcement that's going to come at the very end of today. So stick around for that. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. All right, let's go to the Lord, and then we'll dive into these higher converting sales conversations. Lord, we are here for you. And there's just such negativity around it. And I'm on mission, among other things, to just like tear that down. Anything that leads us to feel like that it's salesy and pushy and it's bullying, it's convincing, that's so wrong. It's not of you. But selling is of you, because it's selling a service. And so, Lord, I just pray that you and your thinking would be coming through the words that I use, Lord. Feel free to take over. I am your vessel, God. And may today's time together and today's training help to bring even more ahas and breakthrough moments for every woman that is watching me now, will watch it in the future, or will listen for this on the podcast, Lord. Because the breakthrough is what's needed to reach the inevitable success that is available in you. So thank you, God, for how you're going to move. We love you. And it's in the mighty name of Jesus that we pray. Amen. Amen. Okay, today's a deep dive into higher converting sales conversations. And one key to getting more yeses on your sales calls is getting your mind right about sales calls, right? And having your mind right during the sales calls. So if you missed the day 3 session inside the Joyful Business Workshop on ethical selling, be sure to go back and watch that replay for sure. Okay, but today we're going to go even deeper, excuse me, because look, let's face it, the success of your business depends on your ability to sign clients. Can we agree on that? Okay. Because that is a fact, you will never apologize from this time forward for making offers. Can we agree on that? Just pop in the chat. I am not going to apologize for inviting my best clients to work with me. That's sales. Sales is servant leadership, helping my best clients get where they want to go, because I'm the expert. Thank you for that, Stephanie. No more apologies about our faith in Christ, whether that's front facing on your brand or not. We're going to operate in that way, right? All right. Who was that? Ashley. All right. Excellent. And Michelle and Amy, Jennifer. All right. Very, very good. Okay. Because when we make that offer, that invitation to jump in, we're serving them. And in fact, serving them to the uttermost by making sure that they know that you can help them and how you can help them. Okay. So I think when I go through my sales conversation framework or protocol, I use both words. I'm hoping that like shifts your thinking if your sales thoughts are anything other than service. Okay. Yes, Amy, servant leadership. So right now, even just pop in the chat. When I say sales, just type in the first word or phrase that comes up. When I say sales, what comes up for you? And be honest. Hard. Okay. What else? Cringe. Ooh. Anxious. Okay. All right. Okay. Yuck. I love this. I love the realness. I don't know. Bonnie, is that like or like, I don't know. Is that good or bad? Okay. Who am I to ask? Ooh, confusing. I love selling, to be honest. Good for you, Jennifer. Okay, so good. No matter where you are, that's great, because we all have growth ahead of us, right? Okay, so I want to, before I share my, I didn't even get to it yet. Before I share my 6 steps, and before I share what I'm about to share, let's remember where it comes from. It's not following the right strategy. Success comes as a result of who you believe yourself to be as an expert, as a business owner, right? As a powerful woman of God. Flawed, and that's perfectly fine. God qualifies you. He doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies us. Is that the idea, right? So remember, who do you believe yourself to be? And, this may feel like a stretch, but do you know that you are a salesperson? And I'm going to get to that, an issue, I'm going to delegate that out because I hate sales. I don't recommend it. And I'll tell you why later. Okay, so just hang on. All right. If you're here and you haven't typed anything in the chat, I want to know who's here. So can you, if you haven't told me your word or feeling that comes up when you hear the word sales, please do type it in. I would love to know. All right. I want to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that I see you all making, not you all specifically, but ladies generally making around sales calls or sales conversations. Okay. The first one is over teaching. And if you're a coach, over coaching. Yes. You want to serve and you want to kind of prove in the most service oriented way, you want to prove to them that you do know what you're talking about. And so you teach them something. You give them a strategy. But what happens? What happens when you overteach or overcoach? Somebody please tell me what I'm getting at here. I am going to give you this all-important strategy that I didn't give you in the workshop, but I'm going to give it to you. Yeah, you give it all away. They take it and go do it and ghost you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Then you're like, well, Judy, I thought you were modeling this. You're about to share with me. You're about to share your 6 pillars of the sales conversation framework. Well, you're right about that, but as I do, I'm also not telling you all the goods. Like, I'm going to be laying out the 6 steps of my sales conversation framework, but I know that there are some zhuzhy things that I'm not giving because you have to work with me. You have to commit to me so I can commit to you to share some of those finer points. And I'm constantly reminding you that you can take everything you learned here, all the strategy, all the concepts, all the, okay? And when you go alone in your office within very short order, whether it's within a week or a day or even the next hour, and all of a sudden the overwhelm helps, or the overwhelm like overcomes you, and the doubt and the fear and all the things, and then you're left to ask, uh-oh, how do I apply this? Right? The questions are going to come up. That's the power of working with a coach or a mentor, some expert, right? But please don't overteach. Please don't feel like I'm going to coach her through this so that she knows I know what I'm talking about. That's not a free coaching session. Okay. I'm going to tell you what it is. Basically, you follow my sales conversation protocol. Okay. That's what you do instead of overteach or overcoach. Okay. The next mistake I see being made is kind of similar, but it's a little bit different. It's over explaining. It's over explaining. Here's what you get inside my program. You get 10 modules on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then you get this, and then you get that. Or if not the going through the modules and boring them to death, you talk in fluffy, desperate sounding language about the value of your program. It's like fluffy. It's like there's no substance to it. Oh, mine's the best program out there. You're going to love it. I'm so excited to share this with you. It's really great. How many times have we heard that? How many times have we said it? I know I have. But that really doesn't give that best client you're talking to any comfort or any safety. It doesn't answer any questions. You say it's the best program, but you're not telling me why, right? You're not showing me why you're saying that. You're over explaining it, but there's so many words, but there's nothing there that really is anything that is helpful. Okay. So I say this all the time to my clients, and that is the more mature you are in business and the more refined your branding and your messaging, the less words you need. And so for those of you that think my emails are long, you should have seen them 2 years ago. Right? I try to be very succinct because think about it, experts, they're not, I mean, they can be verbose, but really when they're talking on stage, they can say a lot in a little bit of time. One phrase can be like, whoa, mic drop moment, right? Okay, so don't over explain. And then the third big mistake is convincing, having that convincing energy. And that comes from a lot of I. I'm the best. I was voted this. I'm an award-winning la la la. I. And it's like, wait, whoa, that is not selling. At least not the way I define it. That's the horrible, greasy-haired car salesman stereotype that we all like run from. Okay. He's the one that's convincing just to get the sale, right? But it's not about you on a sales call. You're actively listening and you're asking open-ended questions. Okay. And by the way, I'll never forget one of my first sales jobs. They go, "Hey, Jude, how many ears do you have?" I said, "How many ears? 2. How many mouths? 1. He said, "Good. Use them in that proportion." And it really is even more than that. I think I try to talk like 10 to 20% of the time and let them do the talking. And I'm writing and capturing the notes, right? Because when you ask the right questions, they're going to give you information you need to determine if it's a fit and also where you need to guide the conversation so that you can show them how your program and your solution is a perfect fit for them and how you're going to take what feels hard for them and simplify it and help them to get where they want to go. Okay. Now, sales is a skill that you develop only by doing. You got to do it. You can't just read a book on sales and think that you got it. Just like you can't learn to ride a bike just by reading about how to ride a bike, right? And here I mentioned last week that you can say a lot of the wrong things and still get the sale and still sign a client. So please don't be searching the internet for the perfect script. Like it's not really about your words. More than anything, it is about showing your heart, showing how you can help, and really the passion with which you're speaking. People want to be led by a strong leader. You're a leader as an entrepreneur. Okay. So really, at the end of the day, sales is really about connecting, right? That's the key. And so what stands in the way of really making a genuine connection that lands for this prospective best client is your own mind junk. Okay. Because if you're scared to talk about the price and you're kind of thinking about that in the back of your mind, you're going to be not really actively listening to their answers. You're not even going to be listening to know what follow-up questions to ask. You might have a list of questions. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. But I know the first time I took the first couple of times I took a deposition when I was a trial lawyer, I would have my questions and I would literally just like hold my finger on the page and say, okay, good. And I'd check it off and I'd go to the next one. Judy, you got to listen to what they said because maybe the next best question isn't the one on the list. Maybe it's one you have to think in your own brain to follow up on what they said. So for you too, it's like you've got to be clear-minded and in total service to them so that you can be actively listening and hear what they're saying. And on this issue of price, imagine if the whole time you're dreading having the price discussion, and then when it finally comes, you're so stressed out that you're stuttering through it. You're obviously not confident about it. That's going to make the best client, even if she's been more impressed than not up to that point, it's going to make her say, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I'm not sure about this one. I don't know that she can help me. Okay. So, all right. I want to impress one more thing before we dive in. Okay. And I talked about this before too, but I want to emphasize what's important. And guess what? It has to do with what's going on up here. Okay. I want to impress upon you something that's very important, and I want you to write this down. To get better at sales, you must be willing. There's that word, willing. Make that all caps. To get better at sales, you must be willing to fail. Willing to fail. And that means that you don't let fear take you off of your focus of serving that prospect that you're talking to. And again, you can't give attention to the head trash in your own mind about money, about your worth, about your readiness. All of that's going to distract your focus from really what's going on the call. Okay. Question. I'd love to see some of these answers in the chat. What is the goal of a sales call or a sales conversation, whatever you call it? What is your goal for that call? Like, what is your mission? Get the person to make a decision. See if the client's a fit. Determine fit and benefit to them. Can I help them? Okay. Goal, help them decide. Okay, yeah. Okay. See, so many of y'all are my clients. You got it. Okay, to find out pain points, how you solve them. Are you ready to help them? Help them find a solution, serve. Yes, all of that. And all of that comes down to the goal of helping them reach a decision. Now, if on the call you don't think it's a fit, you won't make the offer. A sales conversation is just that, a conversation, so that you are determining whether they're a fit as much as they're determining if you're a fit. So yes, you're going to ask questions to see if they're a fit, but ultimately your goal is, I can't wait to kind of show this person their decision-making process and help them to come to a decision that is well-reasoned, well thought out, and best serves them. So that means that I like to ask, are they ready for me to help them? That's very good, right? That's pretty cool. Helping them reach a decision. Are they ready? And is what they're saying they want, and they're saying it's really important. If those things are true, what they've just said, but they say no, what's the disconnect? That is the juice of any sales conversation. And I'll get more specific in that in just a second. But here's the truth in the earlier stages of business. And I go through this again, episode 346 of my Joyful Scaling podcast. If you did not listen to that, you want to. It's the 7 phases of business growth. In the beginning of your sales growth, you will have a lot of fails, quote unquote, which means you're going to have a lot of no's, but that's okay. In fact, guess what? If you're learning from each call, then you're growing, right? And when you evaluate after every call, what worked, what didn't work, what am I going to do differently? And you objectively, without judgment on yourself, you objectively say, ooh, this is where I fell down. I didn't come to the call in the right mindset. I didn't ask whatever questions. I was dealing with mind junk. If you can even be aware of what you've done that didn't work, and then you commit to doing things a little bit differently, you're going to get better by 1% every day, or even a fraction of a percent. That's progress. Okay. All right. Okay. So the overall concept here about failing is, as a CEO, I want you to fail. I want you to fail every day, because that means you've set your sights high enough that you're really going for it. Because when you fail, you can't fail if you stay in your comfort zone. You can't fail if you do what feels good and what you enjoy. You know what's funny? I used to hate sales calls. When I graduated college and I got an outside sales job, I did a great job. My first job out of high school, I was a music teacher, but nobody wanted to hire me. And so I worked at Macy's on commission in the Better Women's Clothing department. Man, I tore it up. In 6 months, I did so well, they hired me to manager. But then I got a little bit too big for my britches, and I said, you know what? Sales comes easy. I'm going to go to the outside sales. Ooh, that was a whole different world. When I'm at Macy's, people are coming to me. These ladies were wanting to buy clothes. When I'm in outside sales, hi, you want to buy a copier? That was a whole different world. I used to hate sales, hated it. But I knew that I could be good at it. I had to change the way I was thinking about it. And I had to force myself back then to knock on doors. Hi, my name is Judy Royer, and that's my maiden name, Judy Royer, and I'm with the Linear Copy Company. And how's your copier doing today? I mean, stupid stuff. How's your copier? That's fun. But look, you should want to fail. I love failing. Okay? Because I know that fail today means I'm going to be better tomorrow. Write that down. My failures today mean I am going to be better tomorrow when I decide that I'm going to evaluate. And I'm going to use that fail as a learning opportunity. Okay. Some people say there's no such thing as failure. It's all nomenclature. We all have fails. I don't sugarcoat it. I embrace it. Okay. All right. We're almost there for our protocol. But is this landing for you? Is this helpful? Okay. I see some nods. Great. Okay. Listen, one more important thing I want to emphasize, and we talked about it earlier. We talked about it last week. And that is, I don't know why sometimes my chat gets blocked up. Now I see. Okay. The belief triad. Remember the belief triad? If you have strong belief, not perfect belief, but more belief than not, in each of these three areas that I'm about to remind you of, you will sign more clients, period. Okay. You need belief in you as the expert, that you are in demand right now. I know that feels so weird, especially if you are brand new in your business. But there are people who are looking for a person with your expertise that you would be perfect for, whether it's because of your personality, maybe it's because you are earlier in your expert business journey. Do you understand that? There are some people who are looking for someone who's been in business for, 10, 15 years. And there are others who are like, I don't know that I'm ready for that. And I'm looking for someone, this is more important for me. So you need to understand that you were born for such a time as today. Belief in you as the expert, you're in demand. Okay, second part of the triad is belief in your best clients, that those best clients exist, the ones that you would love to work with. And they're praying for you. Not only are they hoping for you, they're praying for you. Okay, someone with it, and even if your best client isn't a Christian, some of my clients, a lot of them have Christ as like a face of their brand, like mine, but a lot of them don't, and that's totally okay. You get to decide. But even non-believers sometimes say, I'm praying, like I'm asking God for this or that. So I really want you to believe that your best client's praying for you. They're sick and tired of their situation. Your best clients are ready to find somebody like you, right? They're ready. So they are praying for you. Okay. And then third is belief in your offer, that it is exactly, you believe, in your soul that it's not perfect, because it doesn't have to be, but you know that your offer is exactly what your best client needs to get where they want to go, to solve an urgent problem for them. Now, when you're not in strong belief in any one of those three areas, your confidence is going to be low. Your conviction won't be there. And you're going to lack the courage to ask the questions on the call that should be asked. Or you won't even at the end of it invite them to work with you, because your courage won't be there. You're not sure that it helps them. And so they'll sense that. And even if you would ask them, they'd be like, I don't think so. Thank you. All right, let's go into my sales conversation framework or protocol, whichever word you like. This is the winning framework for higher converting sales calls. There's lots of different frameworks out there, but this is what I found to be the best. Okay. And again, sales conversations, that is a vitally important CEO skill that can be learned. And here's what I want to say about delegating this task out. Later, you may decide to delegate the sales task to team members, but it's a mistake to do so right now until you've reached a level of mastery. Why is that? Because here, when you are the one, if you've decided that your sales process is not just hit a button and buy a whatever course, but you are a higher level expert, and so you've decided that you want to have a sales call as a part of your process, on these sales calls is where you're going to learn how to talk about your offer. You're going to refine your languaging around it. On these calls is where you're going to gain invaluable knowledge and understanding as to how your best client thinks, right? Like what they believe, what motivates her, and what really matters to her. Okay. So don't pawn that off to somebody else. How to appropriately create a conversation where you get answers from people and where you feel heard and you're able to demonstrate your value. Like, don't farm that off to somebody. You've got to get zeroed in on that so that then you can inform any team member in the future, like, this is my clearly dialed in messaging. These are the questions I want you to ask. This is the information we need to best determine whether they're a fit, and then what aspects of the program we need to emphasize for this best client we're talking to in the moment. Okay, does that make sense? Pop a yes if that makes sense. Or if you have questions, you're like, what? I heard I should farm it out. I know. You know who wants you to farm it out? Those appointment takers and appointment setters, okay? I'm going to get you 20 calls a day. Okay, let me ask you something. Would you like to have 20 calls a day? I don't. Who has time? What am I going to sleep for 4 hours that day? I mean, it's ridiculous. They're like, I'll get you all these calls. I'll get you all these calls. But wait a minute. Are they even qualified? I can tell you, I have friends that did it and they wasted their time and potential clients because of hiring people who are master salespeople. They are pushy because some people do buy the push. Not our best clients, though. I know not me. But I really want to emphasize that. Don't farm the sales task out. Do the hard thing and master this for yourself, okay? Okay, so what is step 1 of my framework? This is really fun. This is the intro and how we frame the call. So intro and frame the call. What does that mean? It's really a first point of connection, right? You're connecting. And, it's so funny. Some of these like eight-figure, I think, what's his name? Tony Robbins. And I previously worked in a container with one of his top director of sales. I don't know from what time frame, but you know what he said? He said, it's always a good idea to say, hey, I see you're from San Francisco. That's great. I think that's a great town. That's such baloney. I hate that crap. How about you take 2 seconds and look me up and say something that's a little more personal? Maybe like, if it's San Fran, if geography is your thing, you can say, you know what? I see you went to school at the bop, bop, bop. Wow. I always heard great things about that school. Tell me, did you enjoy your time there? Isn't that more connecting than just a generic, hey, San Fran's a nice warm place? And I'm sorry I get passionate about it because I just can't stand when they tell you that, when it doesn't feel good when you do what they tell you to do, and then you're scratching your head saying, why is this not working? Okay, so I give you the frame, but I'll never give you the script. You know why? Because you are the CEO. I will help you devise your questions inside my accelerator, but I can't write them for you, nor can anybody else. So in this intro and framing the call, we connect and we set the frame, which really means, and unapologetically, we control the conversation right from the beginning. We need to control the call. And why? Because that's what serves them, right? If we don't frame the call, then they're going to just interject questions and it'll be a chaos. Have you ever experienced a call like that, whether it was you leading it or you were the one that was receiving it? Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's like if you were going to the doctor's office and she'd say, okay, and she'd just kind of sit there and look at you and you'd be like, do you want to know what my symptoms are? Oh, okay, sure. Tell me, what are they? It's like, no. So, hey, welcome. I'm so excited. And sometimes I like to say, I'm curious, what brought you to this call right now? Like, why today? And why me? But there's no magic words. That's one way to do it. And then I say, okay, well, here's what's going to happen on the call. I'm going to, ask you questions. We're going to explore la, la, la. And then take them through this framework generally. It's going to depend what you say, depending upon your expertise and your sales process and your program, etc. But this is where you tell them this is what's going to happen. Okay, that's step 1, intro and frame the call. Step 2 is where they are and where they want to be. So I'll call that now and later, or now and future. Excuse me. So here you ask questions, right? I'm going to ask questions in order to better understand their needs and their problems. Now, I will tell you, this number 2, that's the big key for the entire sales call. You should have a go-to set of questions you ask so that you, because you're an expert, you've done this over time. So over time, you'll develop this go-to set of questions to help you discover the info you need to understand where they are, where they want to go, and what they're doing now, and how that's a problem, right? When you ask the right questions, you'll even, ahead of the time, uncover their objections, right? And if you would just nail this one step of asking great questions, you will watch your conversion rate soar. And here's another big hint. These questions must be open-ended. That means they can't be answered with a yes or no. And it's so fun because sometimes, and later on, I'm going to tell you like a question that I ask, and it's so open-ended. Sometimes in the beginning, I want to ask general questions just to see where they're at. So for me, sometimes I'll say, tell me how you're getting leads right now. And then sometimes, I mean, they just go off on so many different things. Then you get an idea of where they are, how they think. But sometimes these really broad, open-ended questions are great. And then from there, you can ask those follow-up questions. And as you're doing this, it is so important. You must be capturing their words. So you can ask to record it ahead of time. You can let them know it's just for quality assurance purposes. It won't be shared, but ask their permission because most states, can't really record without their permission. And I don't want you to get in trouble. Okay. But what they're telling you in response to your questions is absolute gold. How they think, what they've tried before, why they think it didn't work, etc. So ask those questions. And then again, listen intently. It's 90-10 on the listen and the talk, right? Or 80-20. They're going to tell you when you ask the right questions and you capture their words, they're going to tell you everything you need to know to guide them to make a decision that really will move them forward in their best interest. So why is writing word for word so important? Because you can use what they've told you to allow you not only to ask a deeper question to go below the surface, but also to help them see what's really going on in their own head. Because later in the conversation, you're going to refer back to what they've said. Okay, now I'll let you in on a little hint. I typically do not do sales conversations by Zoom. Does anybody have a guess as to why? And if you are in my coaching program, and you already heard me say this, please don't give it away. Why do I prefer to do sales calls on the phone rather than Zoom? Less focus on appearance so I can focus. Okay. Any other ideas? Let's see. Did I miss some? Hard to get off the call. Oh, you're so sweet. Well, not if you've laid the framework and you maintain control. So that's so interesting. Taking notes, privacy policy. Yeah, it's interesting. Privacy policy. I don't know what you mean by that. See, I'm a lawyer, and so I push the envelopes. I realized through this, somebody said that they're a rule follower, and I don't think I'm a rule. I am a rule follower. I don't break the law, but I don't like rules. And as a lawyer, we learn to bend. So I don't know exactly what you mean, Christy, by privacy policy, but I'm intrigued. Yeah, taking notes and not looking at them. That's the crux of it. Yeah. Oh, Zoom has crazy policies. Yeah. I know. Crazy lefties, they'll always have crazy policies. Listen, but look, I don't worry about that. What are they going to do? They're going to record you and get you in trouble. I don't worry about that. But listen, the reason I do phone is because I am thinking. And sometimes when I think, I make weird faces. And I don't want them to think that I'm judging them or something. Sometimes I have to close my eyes to think. And then, so I just make weird things. So that's why I prefer phone. But so far it hasn't been an issue because my close rate's like above 80%, 85%, something like that. It's more than not, it's going to be a yes. So don't think, oh, but if I don't see them, then I can't connect. That's a thought. Remember, that thought may not serve you. If you go to the call on a phone and you think, oh my gosh, if only I had the guts to go on Zoom, then I'd have a better chance of closing. That's just a thought. All right. I'm digressing a lot, but this is juice. So for those of you on VIP that are getting access to this lifetime, you'll want to keep going back. Do I record the calls on the phone? How do you record the calls on the phone? Oh, I don't ever do that. I would ask and then I would record on Zoom, but I'm not really on Zoom, I'm on the phone. Okay, step number 3, identify the gap. What does that mean? I want you to identify the gap or the problem. So I say, I am diagnosing. Remember, I often talk about the doctor frame. I'm an expert. So I say, I know exactly what the problem is. I see what you've been missing. And when you fix this, you'll never be stuck again, or something like that, right? And then, so sometimes here's what I actually say. Okay, thank you so much for that. You know, I know what you've been trying to do, and I see exactly why what you've been doing isn't working. And then I pause and I let her say, really? Well, tell me, what is it? And that's good when you're like that's kind of a salesy move, but it also makes sure they're listening. I just told you I've got the goods. Do you want to hear what they are? And then when they say, okay, well, great, tell me what it is, then you speak with authority. Well, you've told me ABC and you've tried X and Y, but one thing your business lacks right now, it's so obvious to me, and I understand, don't judge yourself if you didn't see it, but it's systems, right? You're working too hard, working too long. There's an easier way. And once you have your marketing and sales systems in place, you're going to no longer be flying by the seat of your pants and you won't be overwhelmed. Okay, like that's an example. Speaking with authority. I know exactly what's wrong. Or for many of you, I know exactly what's going on here. You keep changing your offers. So you're confused. Imagine your best client. Oh, there's another one. You don't have a best client, you know? So all these things, right? Okay, that was step 3. It's very important for you to say, I know the problem. And here's the interesting thing. Sometimes what they think is the problem isn't the problem. So many entrepreneurs, they say, if only I had more leads, I'd be doing better. Not if the leads aren't quality leads, and not if you don't know how to sell. And not if your offer is poopy and doesn't address any of their concerns, right? So we think more leads, more leads, more leads, but hang on a second. There is so much work. That's why in the accelerator and here in this container, I started with the offer, the best client, the transformation, and then the third decision is the price, the container, and the length. The offer is first. So I diagnose. This is the reality. You think it's this problem, but it's really this one. Okay. Step 4 is I'm going to create the vision for their future. Create the vision of what's possible for them. You're creating possibility. Okay. And I do this by asking 2 simple but pivotal questions in this whole conversation. And that is what gets my best clients on the call to see what's really possible. And not only that, they can see it, but they actually feel it. The emotional element is super powerful. And so, and I can't tell you what those are because that's the gold inside my accelerator program. But when you ask these 2 questions, then you get their answer. Then you can like uncover their confidence in your solution with a couple of other follow-up questions. And that's going to pave the way for any objections that come up to make it really clear. Okay. And again, I can't share what all those questions are. That's the gold reserved for my clients inside the Joyful 6 Figures Accelerator. Again, enrollment is always open. JudyWeber.co/accelerator. I promise you won't be disappointed. In fact, you'll be wishing you did it sooner. That's what everybody tells me. All right. So that was casting the vision. They need to see not only what's possible, but I want you to hear me on this. They need to see what's possible for them. Okay. Step 5, that's a beautiful segue into step 5. It's handle objections. And again, I've studied this thing called business and sales for decades. And some people say, handle objections. That's so rude. You can call it whatever you like. People will have statements about it, questions, hesitations, and we need to handle them. Okay. You can dress up that word, but step 5 is handle the objections. And here's the deal. Here's what I was getting to just now. No matter what the prospect may tell you on the phone as to their objections or why they can't or shouldn't work with you right now, people don't buy for one reason and one reason only. And I'd love for you to tell me in the chat. Why? What is the one reason? All the objections that have ever been said come down to one reason, one real reason why people don't buy. It's not in alignment with belief, money and time. Okay, who else? Who else that? Ashley. Okay, what else? Lack of belief. Okay. Anybody else? Belief as to what? What do they lack belief? In what? Fear. You're all close to it. They don't need it. Believe that it will work for them. Belief as to your offer. Okay, who got it? Hold on a second. Yes, Octavia. It's that they don't believe your offer will work for them. You can talk about all these testimonials. Look at this one, look at that one, look at this one, look at that one. Even if they are the very person, like for example, if you serve women and you have a testimonial for this woman in that same stage of life, and she's she's a midlifer and she works a professional job and she's stressed out, and you have a testimonial just like her. Well, if there's something there that she doesn't believe those results are possible for her, that's going to be a stuck point. And so in lieu of her saying, I don't believe it'll work for me, because she may not even realize that's what she's thinking, the 3 most common objections are time. I don't have time for this. I wish I did. I wish I did. Money. Oh gosh, I've been burned before. And my bank account's like zero. I already spent like $100,000 on trying to fix this. And so I wish I had found you early, but at this point, I just don't have the money. Right. And then the other one is I really got to talk to my husband, which is a fun one. I say, really? Do you hope that he says yes? And by the way, is he your partner in business? And look, if you all got different relationships with your spouse, that's great. My mama brought me up to be more self-sufficient even within a marriage, and I know I'm dysfunctional in that regard, but it's so interesting when someone says they have to talk to their spouse. And then I love to say, well, gosh, what do you hope he says? Right? Like, you've mentioned you really want to do this. Well, what do you think he's going to say? Like, I help them again. Why would I ask that question? Not to put him on the defense. I really want to hear from them. What do you want him to say? Like, call it out. Like, if you really don't want to work with me and you're using that as an excuse, like, why not just be honest, right? Like, you see what I'm getting? I'm very unattached. Write that down, please. I am unattached to the result. You see, the goal is not that I get a sale. The goal is that I help this person see the way they make decisions. And if there is a pattern of thinking that is kind of self-sabotaging, I really want to do it, but I can't. Really? Why would you say you can't? Well, I don't have money. Interesting. And sometimes depending on what it is, I have asked something early on where they say, yeah, we just got back from a Disney vacation and we're traveling to here and there. And I just say, wow, that's not cheap. And then I say, isn't it true? And I say this, and you might say this is pressing, so you've got to do what feels good to you. But sometimes I'll say, isn't it interesting? We will always find the money on something we value. Isn't that true? And I don't say it in a way like I'm calling them out, but it's true, because sometimes they might not realize, oh my goodness, we just spent $12,000 on that vacation. And this is only whatever, 2,000, whatever, right? And they'll be like, oh, but I really want to do this. This could be life-changing. It might make them like, ooh, maybe this is just an excuse. Maybe I do have the money. Maybe I just need to really decide, is this really what I want? Or do I just say it's what I want, but it really isn't what I want? And I'll be very honest to say, I want my belly to go away, my over 55 belly, but I'm not doing a darn thing to get rid of it. So is that really important to me? You know? So I hope you get what I'm saying here. Because the time, the money, and the spouse, it's really not the root of the objection. They're just a feel-good excuse, a reason to delay. And it sounds reasonable. Sounds like the prudent thing to do. And I'm not saying in all situations that they're not exactly that. But what I am saying is part of your job as a servant leader on these calls in love is to help them see how they make decisions. What habits and patterns of decision making are they doing? So they become aware of it. So they realize if, wow, um, I allow other people to make decisions for me. And I really do hope my husband says yes. And so, I have to like understand why I should do this, right? I've got to go to my own brain and help understand why I do this so that I can not just say, honey, can I do this? But honey, I really want to do this. And here's why. You know what I mean? Not every best client's going to be ready to say yes. I talked to a handful of beautiful women who said, no, not yet. No, not now. But we have great relationships. And I think they will attest. And I think one or two are on this call right here would say, yeah, and Ashley's raising her hand. It's not right now. But I think the relationship's going to continue and flourish. And in God's timing, if it's meant to be, we'll work together. There was no pressure, right? Okay. But I do want to tell you this. Think about it, ladies. Nobody has time to waste. So if someone takes the time to click on a book a call button and they actually show up on the call, right? And they're asking questions and they're not hanging up on you. And they're actually asking objections. They're saying, I wish I could, but like there is a part of them that is ready or at least interested. So at the first objection, don't all of a sudden go into your mind junk and say, yep, I knew they thought it was too much money. I knew they weren't really ready. I knew nobody really wants this. Do you know what I mean? If somebody is on the call with you, there is a level of interest. And maybe here, write this down. As we didn't get to number 6 yet. We're almost there. As we're asking all these questions, as we're going through the framework, the reason for it all is to get them to a place of decision. And how do we create an atmosphere for them to do that? We create safety. We create safety. For example, somebody's not going to tell you the real reason if they're aware of it as to why they can't say yes, even if they want to. But if they sense something with you, wow, she is really real. And I do, why hold back? I do want to tell her like that's safety and trust. And that is just so lacking. I've been on, I sometimes go on, not lately, but I have gone on competitor sales calls. And a lot of them, they're like 8-figure people. And so it's not even them on the call. And it's a salesperson who I've never met. I've never been on one of those calls on a team member and left impressed. Instead, I hang up the phone and I go, woo! And how much are they making? How in the world, right? Because they have this brand built. And they've convinced you that they know things. And more than that, they may know things, but are they really going to help and support you? Not if that's their salesperson. That's how little they think of me. They don't have time to talk to me. Even when I'm inside, they don't have time to talk to me. Look, you can do what you want, but every time I jumped into a container like that, I regretted it. Big dollars flew out my wallet. Now, I will tell you, I don't look at that as a fail. I don't look at that as a regret. I say, thank you, Jesus. I learned tons from it. What I hated in other people's programs is why I created what I have inside of mine. So yes, it was costly, over $250,000 over the past like 7-8 years. But that's okay, because I made a heck of a lot more than that. And more than that, I'm doing business in a way that I would have wanted it to be, that I didn't see anybody else doing. But, these salespeople, somehow they create safety. And so unless we have the big name, I want to work with Brendan Burchard or something. I don't see it. But anyway, I would never work with a man because to me, they don't get what I'm getting. They haven't lived my life. So they don't know what I go through, what I have gone through, what I'm dealing with. God bless them, but they don't. But some people say, I'm going to work with Brendan Burchard, even though I'm one of thousands, and I'll walk right by him on the street and he won't know my name. So until we have that kind of notoriety, perhaps, if that is what God has for us, we need to create safety, because there's a lot of crappy stuff going on in the world today and in sales. And so this idea of creating safety, it's kind of like a nebulous thing. It's hard to describe, except that it's a matter of connection, relatability, and really vulnerability on your part, so that the other person feels safe to be the same and to ask those questions. Okay. All right. Number 6, by the way, is the easy part of just inviting them to work with you, like making the actual invitation itself. And so we talk about price, right? So let's talk about this. I don't talk about price until the end. If somebody gets excited, and that's it could be a good sign that they say, well, how much is it from the beginning? I say, well, remember I took you through the framework. If we both agree this is a great fit, we'll talk price. But until we go through this process, I could say $50 or $500,000, and it really doesn't mean anything until we determine whether this makes sense. But I promise you, you'll be able to ask all your questions at the end. But right now, like, steer them back. That's taking control, right? But again, you need to determine whether it's a good fit, and they need to fully understand the value of your offer. We're saying we're going to get them here. Well, they have to understand that how you get them there makes sense to them. Now, when we talk about price, I need you to state the amount very matter-of-factly, just like you would state the weather. Unemotionally, no drama, stay out of your own head, and unattached to the outcome. I do not need this. I do not need this person. I pray that she would get in because I would help her, but I'm not desperate. I'm not graspy. I'm not hustly. I'm not convincing, right? So if they'd say, you know, how much is your accelerator? It's $49.97. And I'm quiet. Let them break the silence. I will tell you that I don't mention the payment plan unless they need it. Right? That's my thing. Is it wrong to say a payment plan is available? No. But you don't have to. Do it your way. But the price is the price. And then you be quiet, because no matter what the price is, they have to process. Give her space to think. And then maybe after a time, we'll say, so what do you think? But don't let the silence, don't feel pressure to answer. Let her sit and not feel rushed. Okay? And then address any additional objections. But again, I want to emphasize, when you follow this protocol, and you, like, you know, in my accelerator, I have a 50-page workbook just for this, where I not only lay this out, but I give sample questions, and I give you sample, not only questions to ask in step 2, but ways to think about each of these steps. Like a big one is, how do I convey the value of my program? Well, because you gotta understand that yourself. And so I take you through questions in the course, right? In the program. So this works the more you practice it. Okay? Because sales is a skill, and you can master it if you choose to. Nobody is born good at sales. So if you think, you know, well, she's an extrovert. Well, I mean, that might help her in some ways, but sales is a skill. You just can't wing it. You can't just show up, right? So this, I've given you the hardest part. Like, you have the framework. And I pray that whether you're in the accelerator or not, that you will give thought to this and use it on your next sales call, and then let me know how it goes. Okay? Okay, let me see. All right, let me see. Gosh, there's so many chats. I don't know where to go. Okay, I'm going to start here. They could believe that your offer could work for them, but they aren't willing or ready to invest in it. The current pain isn't enough to invest. Yeah. So that's another thing. And that's one of those questions I ask to really feel that out, that I didn't share here. But that's so true. I previously told a different coach I couldn't afford her. Then I signed up to work with Judy a month later. It's all in the belief. See? Yeah, that was such a great call, Jennifer. Wileen, so you are saying the money, let me just move this over. The money and time and husband issue is not the real issue. They just don't believe they can do it. I mean, I don't know that there's a certain percentage that has so much money, money isn't an issue. So money may be an issue. But if something's really important to you, you're going to get it. And I get facetious and kind of funny, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but I don't get my nails done. And makeup is, I'm not really one of those that has to get my nails. I get my toes done like at once every 6 months or something. Like I don't do stuff like that. And so, but I know people who get their hairs done, their nails done, they drink wine every night, they do these things, they go to Disney, they do all these things. And so my only point to that is everybody has enough money to devote to what they are devoted to. So at the end of the day, like when I opened up my wallet for a $75,000 program and I was barely making over 100, to be honest with you, I think that coach was irresponsible. She should have said, "You're not ready." I was kind of, I don't want to say desperate, but I was really impressed by her, and then it ended up being like a not great experience. But, um, you know, I've been in situations where I said yes when I didn't have the money sitting in the bank. But because it was important, because I believed in it, I was willing to say, okay, here I go. Right. So I just ask that, especially if you, not just Wileen who asked the question, but any of you, if you have like mind junk in your own mind and you have any element of, I don't know, this is a lot of money. Like if you have that in your brain, that's going to come up for them. And then when they say, "I'm sorry, I don't have the money," you're just going to say, "Oh, okay." Instead of, okay. Well, you said this was a 10 out of 10 for importance, and you said you're sick and tired of whatever, whatever. So may I ask where you're going to be in 3 months if you don't say yes? Like this, it's very kind. It's not beating them over the head, you know. It's not, we're not saying they're lying, of course, but we're saying, I want you to go into your own brain and be aware of what you're really thinking. You're saying you want this, you're saying it's really important, but yet, so maybe it's really not that important, and that's fine. I just want you to see for your own self, like, is this really important to you? Are you willing to sacrifice? Let's face it, everything we get to move us forward in large part takes sacrifice. You can't build a profitable business without sacrifice. I won't lose my midlife gut without sacrifice. I gotta sacrifice time to exercise or yummy food that I shouldn't eat or something, right? So we just want to make sure they see that it is possible for them if they choose it. That's all, right? Okay. Disney vacations won't make you more money. Yeah. Now there are some coaches who say you should tell them to go out to their garage and sell the crap that they don't need. Now I would never do that. And some say, and you know what? You should recommend that they cash out their 401. Some decide to do that, but that would be something I am never, ever going to do that because, and some might say I'm stupid for not doing that, but I'm like, we're all adults here. The women that come to me, they're very smart. They know where they can get the money if they need it, if they don't have it. You know what I mean? So again, it's about being authentic, because if you talk to 10 salespeople, 10 sales pros, they'll all tell you a little bit of something different. You got to say, Lord, what is in alignment with who you've made me to be, right? Okay. All right. So here's the announcement, because time is running. So I do have to kind of end shortly. And by the way, Q&A tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern, same bat time, same bat channel, not same bat time, 7 o'clock Eastern. Come with your questions. Okay, here's the announcement. Many of you have reached out and said, "Hey, Jude, I know the replays are going away at midnight. Is there any way I can have more access?" Now, VIPs, you get lifetime. God bless you. Accelerator clients, you have access. It's going into the portal. But for those of you that didn't yet jump in or are just jumping in right now, I decided that I'm going to extend replays for one more week. And so you will see in your email, because I don't know if Rebecca's still here or not, you will see in your email a link to get access to the extended 1 week of replays. That will not be something that you automatically get. You do have to sign up for that and register. And there it is. Thank you, Rebecca. So it is judyweber.co/joyful replays. judyweber.co/joyful replays, and you will have access for another week. Okay. Whew. I hope that was helpful for you. I want you to think about what we talked about, like review your notes. And I don't want us to forget about, now hold on. I want to grab this because it's right here. Here we go. Measure your goals. Measure your gains. You measure your progress. I know I only had this enough for 3 sessions, but are you, after every session, like even finding the 1, 2, or 3 bits of gold that you don't want to forget? Because if you have that in front of you on a page or 2, and you refer to it on a regular basis, it'll stay top of mind, right? It'll help you to stay focused on what really matters. Okay, you're so welcome. All right, sisters, love you all. I will see you back here at 7 Eastern. Mwah. Take care. See you then.